Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Arkansas, land of opportunity. I hope you've been enjoying these views, these little delves into the states. But let's get right into it. Arkansas, land of opportunity. This is one of their state mottos, but we'll get into more of their state nicknames and stuff as we go along. Arkansas, as you can see on this map, it is kind of in the southern central United States, kind of towards the east coast. It has a population of 3.01 million people. Sorry about that. It is the 34th most populous state. The capital of the state is Little Rock. The area, it's 53,179 square miles, which is about 137,732 kilometers squared. It was admitted to the Union in on June 15th, 1836. Which makes it the 25th state to join the Union. Some of the largest cities in Arkansas are Little Rock, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and Springdale. Those are the kind of the big population centers in Arkansas. So Arkansas was first explored back in 1541 by Hernando de Soto. Sorry about that. So it was first explored by the Spanish. Later, and if you are familiar with French names, Fayetteville, you would know that that's not typically a Spanish name. And indeed, the French lay claim to the territory and did a lot of exploring starting in 1673 by Jacques Marquette and Louis Jolliet. Later in 1681, more exploration was done by Robert La Salle and Henri de Tonty. In fact, Arkansas was part of the Louisiana Purchase, which was made in 1803 by Thomas Jefferson. The Louisiana Purchase was initially called Jefferson's Folly. A lot of people in the United States at that point in history felt that it was a mistake to buy that part of what later became the United States from the French. But in making the Louisiana Purchase, Thomas Jefferson pretty much doubled the size of the United States at that point in history. So it later obviously became part of the United States, and we no longer call it Jefferson's Folly. Shortly after the purchase of the land, the territory of Arkansas was established. It was called the Territory of Arkansas. You'll notice in the picture that I have here, it says "Welcome to Arkansas." Arkansas is spelled Arkansas, but pronounced Arkansas. And initially, it was even written with the W at the end. So it makes more sense to me that it would be called Arkansas with a W, but it's Arkansas. That's just how it is. I did look into the where the name came from, and apparently it went through several linguistic gymnastics to get to where we are today. So they're a tribe of indigenous people. They were called the Algonquins. That was close. Arkansas is close to their term for a different tribe of indigenous people called the Quapaw people. Now, the Quapaw were called something like Akansa by the Algonquin, and then the French took the Algonquin term and transliterated it into French, which came out more Arkansas or Arkansas. And that's when the territory was organized and then the state was established. It became Arkansas. So there you go. The industry in Arkansas is known for meat, beef, and poultry processing. Beef and poultry are obviously meat, but they do other than just beef and poultry. And so, yeah, anyway, it's the meat processing industry. It's actually probably one of their strongest and biggest industries in Arkansas. Second to that is hospitals, which seems odd that hospitals would be an industry that you could, because all states have hospitals and doctors and stuff, but apparently in Arkansas, it's one of the major money-making industries in the state, is hospitals. Then we also have the petroleum refining. Now, Arkansas, while not on the Gulf Coast, is very easily accessible from the Gulf Coast. The Mississippi River is very wide, very deep, and it would be very easy to get a tanker up the river to Arkansas to be able to drop off oil and things from the Gulf Coast and bring it up to Arkansas for processing. So that's kind of their industry. Obviously, there's going to be more, but I don't have the time or inclination to go into exactly everything about Arkansas as far as its industry goes, because there's other things that I want to talk about. So we have geography and culture in kind of the northwest part of the state. If you look at the state as kind of diagonal instead of straight up and down, kind of you have the northwest part of the state that has the Ozark Mountains, the Ouachita Mountains. So it has those the mountains and the highland areas, and then towards the southeast portion of the state, we have the lowlands, which is part of the Gulf Coastal Plain and the Arkansas Delta. Basically, the climate in that area is humid subtropical. So it's an interesting split for the state that they have mountainous region, and then they also have kind of a more wetlands, lowland area. So that's going to be an interesting feature of the state, is that it has kind of that dichotomous climate. But again, it's humid subtropical, so not quite as hot as the tropics go, but still very humid, still very much higher temperatures. Probably not a lot of snow, except maybe more in the mountainous area of the state. And even then, it may not get a ton of snow. But definitely a warmer area to be part of. And I've lived in areas of higher humidity, and I don't enjoy it. So, yeah. Anyway. On to the tourism. So, tourism in Arkansas, there's a lot of ground to cover. One of the interesting things about Arkansas is that it has hot springs, and it in fact has Hot Springs National Park is found inside the state, and it is the oldest national park in the United States. It is also the smallest national park in the United States. It was established in 1832, which is interesting because the state wasn't established until 1836. So the Hot Springs National Park was established 4 years before the state was made a state. A couple of really interesting museums in Arkansas. We have the Gangster Museum of America. It's all about like the gangsters around Prohibition and that kind of thing. And we have a museum. There's museums to everything. I know there's torture museums, and there are less YouTube-friendly types of museums around the world. So the fact that we have a gangster museum in the United States should be pretty normal. Anyway, so we also have the Crystal Bridges Museum. The reason that I bring up the Crystal Bridges Museum is because it has a permanent collection of American art. So that's one of the draws if you're interested in art forms that are typically seen as American. There you go. We have the Crystal Bridges Museum that you can visit. Another part of the tourism draw to Arkansas is that Arkansas has history in the Civil War. Arkansas being part of the United States Civil War, it wasn't necessarily where you saw the most famous battles of the war. Gettysburg obviously isn't here. Appomattox Courthouse, where the ending of the Civil War was formalized, is not here. But it is one of the southern states. It has a history of Civil War, so if you're interested in the history of the United States Civil War, you're interested in that kind of thing, you're going to find battlefields and other things that you can visit, as well as Civil War reenactments and things like that are going to be part of the history and the pageantry of the state, if you will. Moving on, more touristy stuff to do in Arkansas. Biking, hiking, boating, water skiing, scuba diving, swimming. I preface water skiing the way I do here because of an experience I had. I met a guy, it's been 20 years or so now, and we were talking about skiing, and I kept saying water skiing, and he says, that's really funny to me that you keep saying water skiing. I know you're talking about water skiing. And because of the differences in where we were raised, here where I live, if you're talking to somebody about skiing, they assume you're talking about snow skiing. They don't automatically assume you're talking about water skiing. Whereas where he was from, if you said skiing, the people that he was around, the people that from that, at least that part of the state, if I remember right, I know he was from Arizona, but I don't remember the specific part. It may have been around the Lake Tahoe area. And so because of that, if you talk about skiing, he automatically assumed you're talking about water skiing. And so to him, it was, if I just said skiing, he would have thought water skiing. And to me, skiing is snow skiing. So I wanted to, just clarify that when I was looking up the information on Arkansas, they talked a lot about water skiing. Now, they may have some snow skiing in parts of the state, but I didn't necessarily find that as part of the draw for tourism. The thing is that the biking, hiking, all that stuff, they have hundreds of parks of national parks. They have hundreds of state parks, national parks, that kind of thing. So the one of the nicknames for the state is also the natural state. So they have quite a history of these, or they have quite a large number of places that are set up for people to go hiking, biking, boating, all that kind of stuff. In fact, one of the more interesting state parks that I came across while I was looking up information on Arkansas is Devil's Den State Park. Apparently, there's a lot of natural caves that were used by raiders and outlaws, and they would use those as hiding places while they were going about breaking the law. And so it's now called Devil's Den State Park. And it has a lot of rock formations, caverns. During the Great Depression, the United States sent the Civilian Conservation Corps, which during the Great Depression, there were a large number of people without jobs, and so they gathered some of these people together and created what they called the Civilian Conservation Corps. And they would send them to these state parks to build up the infrastructure, to break trail, to, in this case, build some cabins as well. Those cabins which are still there to this day, and you can rent them if you're there at the at the state park. So it has this history to it. In fact, there are 2,340 plus lakes and reservoirs, so it has quite a lot of opportunities for the water skiing, the scuba, the swimming. There's river tours, multiple waterfalls throughout the state, a lot of fishing that you can do. There's a lot of water there. Exploring the Ozark Mountains, geocaching, visiting the Felsenthal National Wildlife Refuge. So there's a lot of draw to those who are interested in those natural aspects of the state, as opposed to, obviously they're going to have festivals, they're going to have a lot of stuff like that. At what city and state, country doesn't have those kind of things? But one of the things that I was seeing when I was looking through, searching for information on why would I want to visit Arkansas, a lot of it hit this as the reason that we have all these natural resources. And to be honest, just about anywhere you go in the United States, if you talk to people and ask them about what you should do while you're there, they say, oh, did you go to this national park? Did you go to that national park? We are pretty proud in the United States of our national forests and parks and stuff. And so anytime you go to any of these, just about anywhere in the United States, they'll talk to you about, oh, did you go do this? And it's something like hiking or biking or something out in nature. So anyway, that's it for today. If you have any questions, please ask down below in the comments. Like and subscribe as always, and see you next time.